All right, so we were having issues where we're not getting pressure out of this pump. The flow is going real slow, and it's just not building up to pressure. So when our hand is off the trigger, the pump builds up, and it'll cut out at about 3,500 psi. So it'll build 3,500 psi in the line, but then when we're squeezing the trigger, it drops down to the max we can get is like 1,500 psi. So the first step was checking the unloader. So you take this unloader off, pull that, pull this, and it'll just slide right off. And then opening it up, there's a bolt right here that threads into this piece. So you pull that off. You'll have to loosen this nut, loosen the spring, pull this off. And then inside here, there's a plunger. So you pull that out, and then this bolt on the bottom, you'll want to unscrew that from the main manifold here. Open that up, and then inside's a spring and a ball, and pull all that out of there, and then flush the heck out of it with water. Sometimes a little piece of grit gets in there where the ball is, or a piece of debris, and it just causes it to not open right. So we did that, we cleaned it up. Still having pressure issues. So next we're looking at the valves. So this one has 6 valves, and these are the valve caps here. I've taken 5 of them out, and what you'll do is you'll take these caps off, and let's see, I believe it's a, what is it? I was using 27 millimeter, but I think 1 16th inch is the better one, socket on here to take it off. And I screwed up on this one. I didn't have an impact wrench and just completely messed up the head of this. So I'm gonna get an impact wrench to get this last cap off. But you wanna take the cap off, and then inside, this will be seated down in there like this. So it goes down in, and you can use like a screwdriver to just kind of pop it over to the side and then pull it out. So you wanna pull all those valves out. Call came in. Okay, still working. Good. So you want to pull all these valves out, and then you can pop this cover off, pull the spring out, pull this little plate out, and make sure they wash all of these underwater or under the sink. Spray them out. Just make sure there's no grit in them. These valves, the spring will depress and allow water through, and then it closes and it just cycles. And if it's right around this edge is where you'll get a little piece of grit in there or debris, and it just doesn't sit totally flush. So we'll put that back together, pop this cap back on, and then slide them back in. Sometimes the spring will break, there will be broken pieces in there. If you see anything broken on these valves, like pieces of debris sitting in them, we just need to replace the valves. This one's a little tarnished, but just inspect them and look to see if anything's broken. And then reinstall them. You'll want to slide them in, and then just make sure they're pushed down and seated in place before you put these caps back on. And that will usually solve the issue. If that doesn't, the next thing we're looking at is replacing the unloader. Just swap it with a new one. So these fail after a period of time, so just swap the fittings and replace the unloader. And if that doesn't work, then we look at replacing the valves. And yeah, from there, if the valves don't work, then it's opening up the head and getting the seals. But usually that's a bit more of a major project, and we actually have to pull the head off, pull these studs out. So hopefully those steps get you back in action and pressure working.